Picture this. You're 32 years old. You've got a decent job. Maybe you're pulling in $70,000 a year. You did what you were supposed to do. You went to school, got the degree, landed the job. You've got a car you're proud of, an apartment in a decent part of town, a Netflix account, a gym membership, a Spotify subscription. You go out to dinner a couple times a week. You maybe grab a coffee on the way to work. By every measure, you're doing okay, and yet, at the end of every single month, you look at your bank account and there's almost nothing left. Not because you did anything crazy, not because you bought a boat or blew money in Vegas, just it's gone, and you can't really point to where. You tell yourself you'll figure it out next month. Maybe you'll cut back a little. Maybe you'll finally start that budget you keep thinking about. And then next month comes and you have this exact same conversation with yourself, staring at the same nearly empty account. Here's the truth. You are not bad with money. You are not lazy. You are not uniquely failing. What's happening to you has been carefully, systematically designed. And once you understand that, everything changes. Because your life isn't expensive by accident. Let's start with the math, because the math is where most people first go wrong. Not by calculating wrong, but by never calculating at all. You make $70,000 a year. That sounds like a lot, but let's talk about what actually hits your bank account. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security and Medicare, you're taking home somewhere around $52,000 a year, depending on where you live. That's about $4,330 a month. Let's call it $4,300. Now let's just run the basics. Rent in a mid-sized American city for a one-bedroom apartment. We're talking Atlanta, Denver, Austin, Nashville. Somewhere around $1,600 to $1,900 a month. Let's say $1,750. That's 40% of your take-home. Gone before you've done anything. Car payment. If you bought a used car with financing in the last few years, you're probably paying somewhere between $400 and $600 a month. Add insurance, another $150 to $200, and that's on the low end depending on your state and driving history. Let's say $550 total for the car situation. Now you're at $2,300 gone. Groceries. If you're feeding yourself reasonably, $400 a month. Utilities, internet, phone, another $250. Health insurance, even if you have it through work, you're still paying a portion. Call it $150 after employer contributions. We're now at roughly $3,100 a month, and we haven't touched going out to eat, clothing, haircuts, household supplies, streaming services, or literally anything that makes life feel like life. And this is where things get interesting. Because that remaining $1,200, it doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like it barely covers the gaps. A dinner out here, a birthday gift there, a car repair you didn't see coming, an Amazon order that felt small at the time. And suddenly you're sitting at a few $100s with 2 weeks left in the month. Most people look at this and think, I just need to make more money. And that instinct makes total sense. But that's not actually the problem. And I want to show you why. Here's a concept that behavioral economists talk about called lifestyle inflation. And it might be the single most important financial idea that almost nobody teaches you. The idea is simple. As your income rises, your spending rises to match it, almost automatically, almost invisibly. Think about when you got your first real job out of college. Maybe you were making $38,000. You lived in a smaller apartment. You drove an older car. You cooked more at home. And you thought, when I make $55,000, I'll finally be comfortable. So you got to $55,000. And you upgraded the apartment, got a nicer car, started going out more. And you thought, when I make $70,000, I'll finally be comfortable. You see where this is going? This isn't a character flaw. This is psychology. When humans get more, they normalize more. The new baseline becomes the floor, not the ceiling. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, the ground keeps moving, and you never actually get anywhere. The $70,000 version of you is just as financially stressed as the $38,000 version, just on a larger stage. But here's what makes it even harder to notice. There's a second force at work, and it's social. Look at the people around you, your co-workers, your friends from college, the people you follow online. There's a constant low-level broadcast of what a normal life looks like. Normal people have a nice car. Normal people go on vacation at least once a year. Normal people buy things when they need them without really thinking about it. And when you deviate from that picture, when you drive the older car, when you skip the trip, when you say no to the group dinner, you feel it. There's a friction, a subtle embarrassment, an explanation you feel like you owe people. This is social normalization. And it is relentless. You don't have to watch a single commercial for it to work on you. It works through proximity. It works through the default settings of modern adult life. Now you might be thinking, okay, so I need to resist peer pressure and stop lifestyle inflation. Simple enough. But here's where I want to go a little deeper, because this is not just about your choices. The environment you're operating in has been specifically engineered to make spending the path of least resistance. Think about what the subscription economy did to your relationship with money. 20 years ago, if you wanted to watch a movie, you paid for it once. If you wanted music, you bought the album. Those were decisions. They had friction. You thought about them. Now, you signed up once for a service, gave them your credit card, and that money leaves your account every single month, without a single conscious decision. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, Amazon Prime, Spotify, the gym, the meal kit service you signed up for during that 1 week you felt motivated, the software subscription, the news subscription, the meditation app. These aren't things you decide to buy every month, they just happen, and the system is built this way on purpose. Businesses love recurring revenue because it doesn't require you to keep choosing them. Once you're in, inertia does the work. Studies suggest the average American spends about $200 to $300 a month on subscriptions, and most people, when asked to guess their total, estimate about half that. The gap between what we think we're spending and what we're actually spending is not an accident. It's a feature. The same psychology applies to credit cards. When you tap a card, you are neurologically separated from the experience of losing money. Research in behavioral economics has shown that people consistently spend more when using cards versus cash, sometimes significantly more, because the pain of payment is delayed and diminished. The credit card industry is not unaware of this. They've built entire business models on it. The reality is this: the system doesn't need you to be rich. It only needs you to keep spending. A person who earns $80,000 and spends $79,500 is infinitely more valuable to the consumer economy than a person who earns $60,000 and saves $15,000. Your spending is the product. Your financial stress is a side effect they're comfortable with. Now, most people think their income is the problem. They think the solution is just more. More salary, more side hustle, more hustle in general. And I'm not saying income doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But here's the thing that rarely gets said out loud. The real problem is the structure of your life. Your recurring commitments, your rent, your car, your subscriptions, your debt payments, these aren't just expenses. They're a structure. And once a structure is in place, income flows through it. If the structure costs $4,100 a month and you make $4,300, you have $200 of margin. If your income goes up to $5,000, but the structure expands to $4,800, you still have $200 of margin. You added $700 of income and bought yourself nothing. This is why raises don't feel like raises. This is why promotions don't feel like promotions. The structure absorbs the gain. And most people never step back to see this pattern because they're too deep inside it to get perspective. The question isn't how do I make more? The question is how do I build a structure that actually serves me instead of consuming me? So let's talk about what you can actually do. Because I don't want to leave you with a clear picture of a problem and no direction forward. That's not useful. The first step is awareness. Real number by number awareness. Not a general sense of where your money goes, but an actual accounting. Go back through the last 2 months of your bank and credit card statements. Categorize every single transaction. Groceries, restaurants, subscriptions, gas, Amazon, entertainment, everything. Most people find 2 or 3 significant surprises in this exercise. Spending categories they genuinely didn't realize were as large as they are. The spending audit isn't about shame. It's about getting the lights on in a dark room. Second, and this one is powerful, make a list of every recurring charge hitting your accounts. Every single subscription. Then ask yourself a simple question. If this service disappeared tomorrow and I had to actively choose to resubscribe, would I? Some of them, yes. Others, you'll realize you've been paying for something you forgot you even had. Cancel those today, not this weekend. Today. That's money you're literally giving away for nothing. Third, and this is the behavioral one, introduce friction to default spending. The apps on your phone are designed for frictionless purchasing. One tap, it's done. You can use that against yourself by adding small barriers to automatic decisions. Delete your saved payment info from your most used shopping apps. Set a rule. Anything over $50, you wait 48 hours before buying. These small interruptions break the automaticity. They create a space where a decision actually happens. Fourth, protect your margin before you spend it. The most effective financial habit research has ever documented is automatic saving. If you wait to save what's left over at the end of the month, there will be no savings. The structural solution is to move money to savings the same day your paycheck hits, before it ever enters the flow of your regular spending. Even $200 a month done consistently changes the character of your financial life over time. It's not the amount, it's the habit and the proof it gives you that you can operate on less than you think you need. And finally, revisit the big line items, not the coffee, the rent, the car. These large fixed costs have a disproportionate impact on your overall financial structure. A $200 reduction in monthly rent or a $150 reduction in your car payment does more for your financial life than cutting every small luxury you have. Big decisions deserve more attention than they get. Here's where I want to leave you. You've been operating inside a system that profits from your participation. That's not a conspiracy. That's just capitalism doing what capitalism does. But knowing that it exists changes your relationship to it. You get to decide, consciously, deliberately, which parts of the system you're choosing to participate in, and which parts were just running in the background without your permission. The difficult truth is that most people never have this conversation with themselves. They earn more, they spend more, they stay stressed. They tell themselves it'll get better when the next thing happens. The promotion, the bonus, the raise, and it doesn't get better because the structure expands to meet the income. But some people have this moment of clarity, and they start asking different questions. Not how do I earn more, but how do I build a life where the money I earn actually accumulates into something? Not how do I keep up with the people around me, but what does my life actually need to be good? Not how do I manage to survive this month, but how do I create enough margin to start having real choices? Your life is expensive, that's real, but now you understand why. You understand the psychology behind it, the systems behind it, and the structures that keep it in place. And once you see it clearly, once you actually see it, it starts to lose its power over you. You can't unsee this, and that's exactly where change begins.